Bushcraft 101, a field guide to the art of wilderness survival. Batoning. From processing firewood to making notches, you may find the need to baton with your belt knife. Batoning is a method of cutting and splitting wood. You use a baton or stick to strike the spine of your knife and push or drive it through a piece of wood. This can be particularly effective when creating finer kindling from larger material that may be wet or damp on the outside, but dry on the inside. To properly baton with your knife, you will need a baton. Usually, this is a hardwood branch, approximately as long as the distance from your armpit to your palm. Softer woods will damage easily, sending loose pieces of wood flying and causing potential for injury to the eyes. If possible, place the material to be batoned on a flat surface. This will give a steady base and will prevent your knife blade from coming in contact with dirt or rocks by accident. On the log, once the log is stood and cut up on a solid surface or anvil stump, place the blade of your knife in the position you wish to cut or split the wood. Strike the spine of the knife with your baton, and this will cause the wood to split at the desired mark. Bushcraft tip. Woods with a lot of grain, such as oak, may tend to split unevenly from a straight cut. You can counter this somewhat by twisting the blade of your knife away from the runoff while batoning. If you do not split the wood on the first strike, or the knife goes below the plane of the top of the desired piece, you may have to baton again, striking farther toward the tip of the knife on the spine. This is another reason why you must have a high quality blade. Never attempt to baton a piece that is any larger in diameter than the length of your knife, and try to stay at least 1 inch in diameter smaller, if possible. If on occasion you run into a knot or something that stops the travel of your blade, insert a wooden wedge above the knife. Strike the wedge with the baton. This will release the blade and often split the wood completely. Page 41. Batoning a branch. It shows I think your knife. Oh, okay. So it has your piece that you're cutting. You have it stood up like you're chopping wood. You put your knife right smack dab center on it, and you're hitting it, the spine. Okay, I get it. Notches. The ability to carve certain notches in wood is an important skill. You'll use this ability for a multitude of camp needs. There are 4 notches that you will find most useful. The stake notch. The stake notch, along with the stake's point, will serve you well for making not only tarp stakes but also trap components. To create this notch, select the material and length desired for the project, and decide the location of the notch. Place the material on a solid anvil and baton a stop cut. That is, a cut that stops against another cut. 1/3 of the diameter of the wood at the desired top of the notch. Then use your belt knife and a knee lever grip. Step back about 1 inch from the stop cut and remove material at a 45-degree angle top toward the stop cut to finish the notch. The V-notch. The ability to create a V-notch is a very useful skill when using toggles for any number of things. The tarp lines to pot hangers Page 42. A toggle is a small wooden stick hanging from a rope and used as a means to suspend things. See following. This notch helps lock a piece of cordage to the desired area of a toggle. It can also be used on a larger scale to keep material that is stacked from moving if the diameter of the notch is equal to the stacked material, or if the piece of wood to be used in conjunction with this one is notched in the same fashion. This notch is similar to a log cabin notch, see following, but angled and not as precise in depth or shape. To create this type of notch, select the desired material and place it on a firm surface horizontally. Then, place your blade at a 45-degree angle and baton the knife blade to a depth of 1/3 to 1/2 the diameter of the wood, depending on the use to be made on the notch. Move to the opposite side of the notch and repeat the process, creating a V. For notches that will be under stress and not stacked, never cut these notches more than 1/3 the diameter of the material. The log cabin notch. The log cabin notch is used mainly for building. It can be used on a small scale to assemble a pack frame or on a larger scale to build a cabin. To create this notch, baton the width of the desired notch with stop cuts deep enough to mate the desired piece. Once the stop cuts are made, remove the material in the middle with a knife or small wedge. Remember, when making notches that mate, just as with any building project, you can take away material, but you can't add it if you make your notch too big. So be careful. Measure twice and cut once. The pot/bail notch. The pot/bail notch is useful for making cooking tools. It can be used to support the bail, the wire handle, of a pot, and inverted to make an adjustable hanger for moving pots closer to or farther from a flame or coal bed. This notch is a bit more complicated, but you can make it with these simple instructions. Page 43. Begin by making 2 stop cuts, 1/3 of the way through the desired material in an X pattern horizontally. Then, use your knife and a knee lever grip to undercut and remove the bottom or top of the X, depending on the application, to leave a slightly undercut point. If this notch is made correctly, it will hook onto the bail of your pot when made close to the end of the stick or material. If the stick is inverted, changing the direction of the notch and the notches are spaced apart by several inches, they can serve as a height adjustment by using a cross stick and drilling an indentation in a wedge flattened area of the end. This will create an area for the point to rest, thereby hanging or suspending your pot. Here it shows your basic notches. On the top, it has your stake end. The first one is a stake notch. It's like a downward and a nice arc. The next one is a V notch, which is more like of sharpen. The next is a cabin notch, which is square. And the next is a bail notch, which is like a fish hook. And on the bottom, you have your stake point. This is the top, what it looks like from the top for the stake notch, the V-notch, the cabin notch, and the bail notch. Oh, okay. Shear cuts. The object of a shear cut is to shave larger amounts of wood while maintaining control of the material and the knife. Making shear cuts requires an anvil or some kind to make sure the desired materials are ready and will not move side to side or slip. To create an anvil in a fallen tree, make a large log cabin notch in the fallen tree and use the flat surface for your anvil. This way you will not place the material being cut on a curved surface. Shear cutting can be very useful when making feather sticks. Very fine curled shavings of wood. See following. It is also great